Alright, so in about 48 hours, everyone is going to get a free Transcended character via the Black Friday Transcended character selector. And in this selector, there's going to be 18 different options. I had a few people reach out to me asking for a tier list ranking these characters. So that's what we're going to be doing today, because I like to give you guys a visual representation of where these characters are currently in the game. So as you can see, we have all 18 options before us here, so we're going to be ranking them accordingly. Let me actually change the color scheme a little bit. There we go. Now this looks a little bit better. So what we're going to do is rank these characters based on their overall usefulness in the game. Now keep in mind, the way how I'm ranking these characters, it's assuming that you have the uniform that is represented here in this list, if the character indeed has a uniform. So first and foremost, we have War Tiger. War Tiger doesn't have a uniform, and the only thing this guy is good for is an extra body for story or Shadowland. That's literally it. He's not good for much. However, keep in mind that a couple months ago, we got tier 4 for Blue Dragon and a new uniform for Sunbird, so he might be up for something, but that's a maybe. We don't know when that's gonna be. So if you already have all the other characters in this selector, you can choose to use it on him. It would only make sense. But if you have other options in here, he should not be your first priority. Moving on, we have Elsa Bloodstone. I'll put her a little bit ahead of him just because she has a leadership, but Elsa is really bad. She's one of the oldest transcended characters in the game, and still to this day she hasn't gotten a recent uniform. Her last uniform, I believe, was in 2017. Literally 5 years ago. It's crazy to me that the character still hasn't gotten any love, but she's literally just a body for Shadowland story mode and a leadership if you need it for World Boss Legend or Giant Boss Raid. But there's so many better leaderships that you shouldn't be choosing her based off of that alone. I'm also going to put Red Skull in this category as a Shadowland / story character, because he's not really good for much else. Unfortunately, even though he has that extra damage to superheroes, he's not that powerful, so he can't even go in the Alliance Conquest category, unfortunately. Same goes for this guy. Okay, I've even built him up at one point, gave him a raid CDP, didn't get much out of him, tried him with energy, didn't get much out of him, so he's just a body for story and Shadowland. That's pretty much it. I'm also gonna put Gwendolyn in here. You could say Gwendolyn might be useful in Alliance Conquest, but to be honest, it's only the webbing and the fact that she has a couple delayed skill with Ivorage, but it's not good enough for me to say she's decent for AC. It really isn't. Okay, so next up we have Shadow Shell. Now, just like War Tiger, since the Warriors of the Sky recently got something, these are the two that got left behind, so they may be up for tier 4s or new uniforms. My money's on Shadow Shell getting a tier 4 and a new uniform, and him just getting a new uniform, because we need more universal tier 4s. We don't need more combat tier 4s, but who the hell knows what Netmarble has planned. Okay, so Shadow Shell, decent for AC because of her 4-star passive, giving them damage reduction. It'll be interesting to see what they do to augment the character in the future. However, moving on, we're gonna put Braun, aka Amadeus Cho, down here. Shadowland character, story mode character, just a body, and that's pretty much it. Next up, we have Bullseye, and unfortunately, I'm gonna put Bullseye in this category. He's the head of the Shadowland story mode characters. He could be decent for World Boss Legend, but the thing is, he doesn't have a heal. Okay, once upon a time, this guy was meta for squad battle and ABX. However, that time was long since past. You shouldn't even be buying this uniform. So at this point, if you have Bullseye, you shouldn't be buying uniforms for any of these guys, to be honest with you. Anyone that has a uniform here, these uniforms are outdated. Okay, so just rank these characters accordingly if you have their uniform, but if you don't have a uniform for them, they're all just down here regardless. Okay, next up we have Sif, and we're gonna put Sif in the meta category because of her leadership and her support passive via the uniform. So keep this in mind. This is one of those uniforms that if you don't already own, you should put it on your Black Friday list. Black Friday uniform list coming up soon, so look out for that. We're going to do a visual representation of some of the uniforms. Let me know if you guys want a top 20, top 30, or a top 50. Okay, I'm thinking maybe a top 30 would be really good because there's so many uniforms in the game, but you don't need all of them. All right, cool. So you need one. You need this though. Like you definitely should get this. This is one of those ones that you gotta get. Here's the thing. she's not meta, she's not decent for AC, she's decent for War Boss Legend, but the thing is, she's more of a support for Black Bolt than anything else, and that's if you have Halloween Black Bolt. If you have Halloween Black Bolt, you put Medusa on the team for GBR, you're slapping a little bit hard. I'm gonna put her in the Shadowland. I'm gonna put her in the Shadowlanders, bro. It's tough, but I'm gonna have to put you there, my queen. All right, so we're gonna put Dr. Octavius decent for World Boss Legend because he can actually go up to stage 29 against Mephisto. So that's pretty decent. That's not great, but that's decent enough to be recognized as someone or something of note. Okay, so we're gonna put him in the decent category. We're definitely gonna put Heimdall in AC, decent for AC, definitely. If you don't have this Heimdall uniform and you play Alliance Conquest, hey, Heimdall is actually pretty good. He puts in work. We're gonna put the Human Torch in decent for World Boss Legend as well. He can go up to what, 24 against Null and 24 against Mephisto as well. I haven't tried Human Torch recently against Gore, and I can't remember if I tried him against Ultron, so that's something to note. But I definitely would put him right behind Dr. Octavius. I'd also put Iron Fist right here in the decent as well, just because of the fact that he can go up to stage 29 against Mephisto. However, even though it is worth noting that he can go up to stage 29, the uniform is so old that I would not be recommending any of these uniforms as ones you should buy personally. Like, unless you really love Alliance Conquest and you're pushing for top 10 and you just want more meta teams, you should not be buying this uniform for Heimdall. Same goes for Jewel, Jessica Jones. Jessica Jones is decent for AC. If you take her Insight and put it on her, she busts the defenders with Daredevil and Luke Cage. However, if you give her like a CTP of Authority or a CTP of Regeneration, she can be a standalone character, a mini Luke Cage if you will. I'm definitely gonna put Luke Cage either just behind Heimdall or just ahead of him. Like, I really can't accurately assess which one is better than the other. They're both good in certain situations. Next up we have Silk. And Silk we're gonna put decent for World Boss Legend, but that's only if you have this summer uniform, which obviously you can't buy outside of the summer season. So if you don't have it, just know she's all the way down around here somewhere, probably at the very end. Okay. She's as bad as Elsa Bloodstone, and she doesn't have a leadership if she doesn't have this uniform. But if she has the uniform, she's good enough to do like in the 30s against Mephisto and then up into the 40s against Null. So if you really like her, or if you just have her transcended and I don't know, for some reason you bought the uniform for her when she was at tier 2, okay, that's really good. But the best character here is obviously Moon Knight, because Moon Knight is still, even though he's one of the first characters to get tier 4, he's still relevant. He's still, in my opinion, an easier 12 million in ABX on a combat superhero day than Venom. And for some people, he scores more than Venom in Alliance Battle Legend. For me personally, my Venom scores more, but maybe it's just my playstyle. Maybe I just need to adjust, and maybe I just need to swap over my Moon Knight from an energy to a reforged rage. But I find that Venom scores a little bit higher for me. Maybe I just need to GG, you know, get good. But yeah, these are the two meta options here from this list. Otherwise, everybody else is just a body. If you don't have their uniform, they're just bodies for story mode and Shadowland. Obviously, Shadowland comes in handy when there's a Cosmic Core event, or story mode comes in handy when you need to get fragments. So none of these characters are completely worthless. So definitely make sure you log in on Friday to get that free selector and pick up one of these options. Any option is actually a good option because they're going to be useful to you long term if you're playing the game, because you never know when they're going to get new uniforms or a tier 4 power up. So with that being said, ladies and gents, I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one.